switch to the main presentation.
Just press escape and it's loaded on the desktop, so you just have to double click it.
Okay.
Peabody Research Institute, the Department of Sociology, and Human and Organizational Development Department for co-sponsoring this event. It's very generous with your funds and time and effort, and we really appreciate that. Just one announcement that's not related to the colloquium really, but the women's restroom on this floor is flooded, so you'll need to go down. Always happens. Something does. So you'll need to go downstairs or upstairs for the women's restroom. And I'm going to turn things over to my friend and colleague, Nicholas Sensley, in just a second, so he can do a proper introduction of our guest speaker for the afternoon. I met Nick, I guess over a year ago at a human trafficking conference, and as we talked, we realized that we had a lot of overlapping interests. And so I brought him to Peabody Research Institute where I work and introduced him to some colleagues. And we were really intrigued by a project he told us about in South Sudan that uses the prison system to help address food security. So one of our areas, is it too loud? It's too cold. Oh, okay. It's cold.
Yeah.
So it was really warm when we first got in here.
Okay.
Yeah. So at PRI, one of our areas of interest is the criminal justice system, and so we thought this was kind of an intriguing connection here. And so we've been in talks with Nicholas and thinking about maybe finding some funding so that we might actually do a program evaluation or something similar of this project that you're going to hear about this afternoon. I think I've covered all the bases. Oh, and of course, we're going to have a reception immediately following the colloquium, so it's just going to be down the hall in room 104. So please join us there for a wine and cheese reception, and hopefully we'll continue whatever conversations get started in this room.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, and also I have handouts of the presentation if you want to pick one up afterwards.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I still said I'm Nick Sensley. I am the CEO and Chief Solutions Officer of Cross Sector Solutions, small private consulting company with services around the world, where our purpose is to build strategic partnerships to address issues of significant development in communities, in regions, and in nations. As Jill mentioned, one of the areas that I've worked on here in the United States and around the world is on the issue of human trafficking. And as you well know, that's an issue that is related both to labor and sex trafficking issues, and I've helped develop some of the major projects in different parts of the world to address that issue for almost 2 decades now. One of the other areas that I have long worked in is in addressing the issues of leadership development, anti-corruption, and ethics in leadership. One of my foundational beliefs is that in order to address some of these significant issues, we need leaders who are committed to it from the very core of who they are. And that's where we find the type of dedication and commitment and engagement that I believe really allows us to bring about the development that affects lives, the development that affects peace, the development that affects well-being. So that brings me then to the honor of introducing Major General Ajak Deng Reng. Major General Ajak Deng Reng, well, Ajak is my friend. And I think that's the best place to start. He is and has become one of my closest friends over the past 7 years that we have been working together. We talk just about weekly and have talked nearly weekly for all of those 7 years. I met him during my first journey to Juba, South Sudan in 2009. In this time prior to that eventual July 9th, 2011 secession of the southern region of Sudan to become the Republic of South Sudan, my task at that time had been to encourage and support the development of a national action plan to combat and prevent corruption in this nation building process. After the second day of what I was beginning to feel was a relatively successful initiation of my services there, I was very comfortably walking to the dining hall when I was approached by a gentleman of very impressive and commanding stature. Now his contact began with, "Are you the one called Nicholas?" Now, I've spent many days of my adult life, or very few of them I should say, looking up physically to anyone. And so I will confess that I had two very clearly memorable thoughts in my head at the time, as we are just the two of us there in the new country, and I'm speaking about, quite frankly, controversial things, telling people to stop being corrupt and to address issues of ethics. So two thoughts went in my head. The first one was, what have I said or done this time? And the second thought was, do I want to be Nicholas right now? So, acknowledging who I am to Ajak, he immediately captured my attention by saying, "Nicholas, it's good for you to be here to talk about leadership, about ethics, about anti-corruption in my country. These are all very necessary and needed things. But my people need to be able to feed themselves." He said, "We have a saying here. You step on a man's foot when he and his family are not fed, and he will turn to fight you. He will turn aggressively. Step on a man's foot when his family is fed and they're satisfied, he will turn and forgive you." And I'll never forget that, because it was an impactful vision, very practical, very pragmatic, which was the first impression of, and a lasting one to this day, for a very pragmatic, very to the point, tell it like it is individual. You know, what it really stuck out for me in saying, as we talk about these issues of development, it has been said that there is no peace without development. But at the same time, there is no development without peace. General Ajak's reality call to me brought this fact to mind for South Sudan. So it's my pleasure to introduce to him General Ajak was born in Wanyal in the Jonglei state, which is almost directly north of Juba, this particular city, north of Juba. He as a military officer, he served as an intelligence officer. He served as a commander in operations and administration sections. And when he transferred into the prison service, he worked as the director of production and rehabilitation, and also as the principal of the training and administrative academies. He has a Bachelor of Science in labor and employment, and several international certifications including that in administration of business and certification from PLI Global in ethics and anti-corruption. He is, without a doubt, in my experience in nearly 2 decades now of working in the development world, left perhaps the most enduring impression upon my life and my priorities. So it's my pleasure to introduce and to bring forth General Ajak Deng Reng Deng.
Thank you, my brother Nicholas, and I thank the family of Vanderbilt University for welcoming me and making me today as a host speaker about the issue of South Sudan. In fact, I don't have a nice tone because I just command. I don't talk. I'm not a lecturer, but I'll try. I have sinuses, and that's why my tone will not be good. As Nicholas put it, I traveled a long way from South Sudan to come to this place, to come and share ideas with you and get information from me, and then I learn from you. Because we have a long civil war in the south in interval, and that one affected our people, and that's why people talk about South Sudan from time to time. I don't want to bore you. I will just go straight away to a presentation, and then later, if there's a question, then I will be able to answer, or Nick can answer on my behalf. So this is an introduction that Nicholas put, and as you are seeing, we are just trying. There's where you have seen him before sitting on the river Nile. There's abundance of water, and, which you can make everybody to do irrigation through the water on the river Nile. So you visit the site you have seen. Go down. Okay. That is South Sudan. South Sudan timeline in 1955 to 72 is the first civil war. So the war stopped for some time. And then in 1983 to 2005, there was also a war, and then it stopped. 2011, there is independence. The whole world was excited to have a young nation, and a lot of effort was put by all the people all over the world, America and other European countries, to make South Sudan independent. Yes. As you all see, South Sudan is characterized by years of underdevelopment, war, famine, drought, and flood that have produced a crisis of enormous proportion across the country. The overall demand for food, production, security, basic health, education, social service, infrastructure, income generation, and capacity building, among others, is overwhelming. People are displaced, there is no food, people are scattered all over. If you come to stay here, I found my relative here. And what made them to come here to take refuge is because of situation at home. Loss of life, loss of opportunity, destruction of infrastructure, adulteration of livestock and crops, with displacement, families, and divided communities. As I mentioned before, one of my relatives are here. They settle here, and I'm on the other side. It is because of the same situation that dividing us. If we are to reconstruct and develop, are yet to become visible, and it is indeed a slow process. It is true, it's not easy because there's crisis that cannot make people to settle. And these are the people, these are the things that disturbing the nation, the young nation. And the information coming across from the media, they don't go to the root cause to find out, to give people exactly the information, what is needed to be known about South Sudan. But they just grab the negative part and they don't bring the positive part. Yes, we are Director of Production and Vocational Rehabilitation in the National Prison of South Sudan in the Ministry of Interior. We are part of, under the Ministry of Interior as a department. Police, Prison, Wildlife, and Fire Brigade are under the Ministry of Interior. This is how we operate there. A sustainable future for inmates that promotes and encourage full participation in all activity of livelihood, empowerment, to engage their potential, renew their hope, and pursue unity aspiration. Yes, most of the people do not understand what is prison. Prison, people think that is a place where people are locked in and no more talking and no more future. It is contrary, because a prisoner is another human being of tomorrow, because anybody can make a mistake. And when you make a mistake, doesn't mean that you can be condemned completely. You are part of the community. So you need to be counseled and mentored to do something good. When you go back to the community tomorrow, you fit, because it's one mistake, and everybody can make a mistake. So I assume we are all prisoners, but we have not made a mistake to go to the prison. This is how it looks like. To participate fully as a service in rule of law, economic, social, and community development, continuous correction service with focus on supporting the rehabilitation of inmates and their integration as to contribute into communities. This is what I've been saying before. You change the life of mindset, because when you make a mistake, by the time you're making a mistake, you look wild. But when you come back to your senses, you regret why you did that. In all of us, not the prisoner, all of us here, anybody can get angry and do a mistake that you are not supposed to. But if you are with yourself, you cannot do that. That's why it's very important you put them back. Because when they bring the prisoners to the prison, we receive them in a good face. You don't need to harass them. You welcome, let them sit, give them water, ask what they have done, so that he cool down, because he come from the court with the pressure. But you need to cool him down so that he fit in the system. But if he is coming hot on that side, and then you come also hate him, then you are spoiling him. You will not understand anything. So you get him closer to be your friend, and then show him what to do, where he is wrong. If it can be helped, yes, you can tell him that he will be helped, get another to defend his case, and then the case proceed. Then it will cool down. And that's why we are friendly with the prisoners. Some prisoners, when they are released, they go and come back to the prison. This is where they get friendship, but they are not friendly to police.
Ajak, can people ask questions during the presentation, or do you want them to ask after?
Period. You are welcome.
Also, you can use that device to advance it this year.
Before you advance it, my question is about what you mean by foster unity aspirations. You don't mean unity between South and Sudan, right?
No.
Within the local tribes.
Local community, local people, local group-wide fighting each other.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How many local tribes are there?
64 tribes
64 in South Sudan?
in South Sudan. We move. To cooperate with the partners and to create a positive social cooperative and reinforce policies that will promote the development of the NCS program, to adapt and implement holistic and integrated national policies, uphold human rights, rule of law, and administration of justice in accord with international standard and the best practice, human and safe containment of the prisoners. These are the rule of human rights, international standard of keeping inmates safe. We put them in our curriculum, and we are teaching all our staff because we are trying to catch up with the world. We have been at war, and then we need to start where the world is. So there's nothing special. In fact, if I would have got a chance, I was thinking that there will be something called prison in South Sudan. This is the concept I was having in mind. And I have an idea how to make it no prison. You just make open camps, yeah, where they can walk, producing food, and then you keep them there. Because before colonial, our people, we don't have prison. These prisons were built by colonial. We don't have. So if anybody made a mistake, you go and stay in the house of the chief. And you will not escape. You will never escape. You will stay there. Whether you have killed somebody, you stay in the house of chief. You are arrested there, finished. You don't go anywhere. Because if you run away, they will compose a song that will destroy your hatred, culture. Nobody will accept to escape. So we didn't have prison. And I was having the same thinking in the future. If the situation become calm, we just have open camp. No prison. Because keep them engaged, because nobody will refuse to work. Instead of containment, put them in open air, where there's farm, where there's activity, and then they will not escape. We'll study that one as time comes. Reduction of insecurity and fundamental human needs, coordination and facilitation of all the NCS program through partnership within the surrounding communities. Yes, what we do in our area, we are working together with the communities. They wait for us, we work together so that they learn ethic of work. Because no one was at home during the war. All the houses was banned by Khartoum. People got displaced to the camps, and there was no one. So we are trying to restore so that we go back. People resettle slowly, getting engaged, do some activity which can help the nation to prosper. Advocacy for fund for prison sector improvement and program development, capacity building in leadership and in ethical and human prison management and administration, sustainable livelihood and economic development of NCS microfinance to rehabilitate prisoners, research and advocacy against the crime and violence, and promotion of peace and development as part of cultural history. We, the prison, all over, even here in America, the prison personnel, they are the one carrying a big burden. Because a lot of people make crime, police will then catch, take them to court, end up in the prison. We become custodian, we take care of the prisoner. That we don't know where they come from, what are their crimes. But we come and see a sentence, you are to be kept in the prison for that period. So it's our burden. It's a big burden. So we need to work hard to teach people, either inmates and even the prison warders, to work together for the welfare of the prison and for the welfare of prisoners, because it's an ending job. It's not finishing. It is every day. People are coming in. Huh? So you have to have a way you can tolerate and uphold. Any question?
The device in your hand, you can advance the slide.
This one? No, one on the left.
Okay.
Is it?
Yep.
Let me check.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, I want to show the land and the water. This is the area when I went to survey. It's good for irrigation. There's a big land. The water is there. Throughout, there's the natural river. This is the mandate. Somebody asked me in the morning when we were in a meeting about other activity. This is what we are supposed to do, to teach the prisoners all this. But in all this, we only have agriculture alone, that one there, and the rest are not yet touched. Because you cannot come here when your stomach is empty. Fill your stomach and then you expand. Then you will have energy. Without it, a car cannot move without fuel. So that's why we pick agriculture. And the reason you see that guy with the hoe and the gun on his back, I created this because the war is over. When we got our independence, that means the war is over. What next? Is food security. Let's put the gun at the back and then we dig. That was the intention of putting that logo. And that logo alone is fixed. Because why do we fight again? And we got our independence from the north. That's the reason of putting that logo. We have a constitutional mandate from the government, abandoned labor force, short-term prisoners, 4,000 to 6,000. Large tract of fertile land, asset, 100,000 hectares. All over South Sudan, there's a great agricultural potential. A national 82 million hectares land service in more than 50% suitable for agriculture. Sufficiently accessible water for irrigation. There's a lot of, as we have seen, institutional across the country for pilot and scalable project. NPH's leadership commitment to agriculture. Majority of indigenous community are foresters with an estimated 8 million cattle which provide for potential animal husbandry. A well-structured department. All these are there, are not made use of. Cattle are not vaccinated because you have big cattle with big horn and they will get you maybe less than half a liter. And you can have 100, other people have 200, but very little milk. Need a lot of work so that they benefit from their cows. Large phosphate, 29%. A function and commitment, National Police Institution with proven leadership skill. Yes, people are trained from all and now. Fair, established office and operational. Working system policies and personal visibility and recognition in advocacy of empowerment program. Abundant available staff. And the prisons is observing so many people from different warring parties. Because like the peace which is coming tomorrow, we have finished training other people. Now other forces will come and join us. They will not fit in the army. And then we'll observe them, we train them to be prison officers. And that's why it's very important to embark in agriculture so that everybody get engaged, than coming and sitting idle and then cause us problems. And by doing that, we can reduce a lot of things. We can demobilize and integrate them to the community with the other units of that mandate. Can observe a lot of people. That being in the army, you can be productive, doing your own thing. This table, chairs, whatever. Because we have abundance of woods. National forest is there. You can produce whatever locally. Food is international. Acknowledge a crisis need for South Sudan. We are depending from neighboring countries, Uganda, Kenya. This is where we're getting food. One time, one of the ministers driving a big car. Then I went to his house. I told him that, do you know the car you are driving? He said, no, I don't know. Then I told him, this car, it is 4 tractors. Do you know where you're getting your food from? He looked at me. Then he asked me, why do you ask me this question? I said, if Uganda and Kenya close the border tomorrow, and we have this car, where will you get food? And that was from 2007. Up to today, we are getting food from neighboring countries. And there's no reason why we get from there. Up to today, nobody can give you a proper justification why we're getting food from a neighboring country. It's the same rain, the same environment, the same weather. So, what we need to do, we need to think. Whoever thought good about the South or about the community can go ahead with the work. And then the rest will follow when they see you ahead. And that's why I'm here. Because my friend Nicholas, we have been trying our best to change. We can change the South to something else. We can bring peace through food security. I'm confident of that. If I'm supported, people cannot go to New York or Addis Ababa to look for peace. We will make peace at home. It is possible, it can happen. Favorable weather and exceptional fertile soil, fast growing crops, availability of animal resource. We have a lot of wildlife. These are the areas where the prisoners are in South Sudan. Anything in red is where the prisoners are. Anything in red is where the prisoners are. And if you print in color, and then you give everybody, and maybe you can circulate to the team on email so that they read more. This is to demonstrate crop production in different areas. This is how it looks like. These are original zone. These are the type of soil in the middle, and what the type of crops that grow in every area. These things are there. If you get it, you know, you can, if you are going to Capoeira, what are you going to cultivate? You can just go straight away. Because you know the climate, you know what can be grown there, and you grow. The same, Upper Nile. Insecurity and conflict is some part of South Sudan. Negatively impacts some operation. Yes, like the whole Upper Nile, there's Malakal, Jonglei. Jonglei now is a bit okay. Maybe Malakal and Bentiu. Bentiu is where the oil, and the Malakal where the oil is. These are areas that have conflict. But Bentiu completely nobody cultivate. But in Upper Nile, there was war, people are cultivating.
Ajak, could we go back to the map slide, and I think it might be helpful to point out the heavy conflict areas in relationship to, say, Juba, okay? So if we come together. So we see Juba.
The pointer is not there here?
Capital city, Juba, here in the south. And so we can just point out some of the conflict areas.
There's no pointer here?
Uh,
The red one?
In the middle. In the middle, there. Yeah? There
Oh,
you go.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this is Juba. This is Bo. This area is Jongole. Okay. Then come Malakal. Here, this is where there's conflict. And this one, it can give you like 1,000 miles to go there. Okay? This is where the conflict is. And then come Bantu. That's Unity State. Yerul. This area. This is where there's conflict. These are the two areas where there's conflict. The rest, they're okay. The rest, they're okay.
So that's the Upper Nile state. This is the Unity State,
State,
area.
yeah.
This is Jonglei.
Jongle is fine.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
You know, this is the area where the oil
Yeah.
is, and so that's where a lot of the
Yeah.
conflict areas were in earlier years.
And it will be okay. That's why I say that this slide will be given to you. Go to Google, will show you. Yes, inadequate funding for agriculture activity, lack of local population education and skill in agriculture development, a distance between farmland and the prison hampered by poor road infrastructure, inadequate logistics support such as transport, heavy equipment and storage, inadequate commitment from the government to invest in agriculture, absence of original agricultural training and education institutes. All this, as I said before, I talked to one of our ministers, the car you are driving in, it was 4 tractors. It is because the government did not put it to the priority that they do agriculture fully, because from 2011 up to today, it's a hell of time. There will be a bigger scheme that can absorb a lot of manpower, so that engage people in employment, which we don't have. The way forward, this is how I started. I used the prison warders, go and dig using their hose before they use the prisoners, because you must know something that you can tell someone else. If you don't know, how do you teach the prisoner how to work? So this is what.
There's another point I want to make here, that, you know, when Ajak says he has this vision of open camps and prisoners without walls, in America we kind of go, yeah, well. Well, here's an example of how and why that probably could work. Look here, you'll notice there's no chains on the legs. Everyone in the tan uniform is a prison officer. The prison officers are tilling the land just as the prisoners are. And they're carrying these, quote, dangerous weapons on their shoulders, with a prisoner walking behind them with one of those hoes and axes and tillers in their hands. That's the way things are, you know, cultural context, right? These are all, you know, throughout the country there's about as many prison officers and NCOs as there are prisoners. And there's some reason for that, which we'll circle back to that. But here's a picture of the reality of prison life.
Thank you, Nick. So, at the there will be resistance if you just tell someone to go and do something else you're not supposed to do. But they came to like it because a group work saves time, people learn from each other, people become knowing each other, they know one vision, what they are going to do. At least an international South Sudan National Prison Food Security Program steering board, a recruitment of agricultural development professional, a recruitment of health, social service, and educational professional, development of high standard for staff to participate in the program, formulate NFCS core program leadership team to be trained for leadership and engagement in the program, development of high standard for inmates to participate in the program. And these are the things that we need to initiate to make it practical. This presentation was not done for here. I did it a long time ago. And this is what I used to speak. I finished with you here, other group maybe where I go and tell them this is how South Sudan look like, and this is what it needed, and this is what we want to do. It's from 2007. Because when I was appointed to be a director of production and vocational rehabilitation, I have to sit back and think of what to do. How do I do this work? What is it by itself? What is production? What does it do? And you deal with who and what? So it took me time to put everything down. So what I'm waiting now, I know what to do if I have the facility. If I have means, when to do it, how to do it, I have. So mine is only to take action if something happens. Where to take the tractor, where to cultivate this, where to do this. Already I know. So I have the information of where to do what. The program of ownership and leadership must be local. The accountability for standard and performance must be international. The primary beneficiaries must first be the prison and its community. Local community advisory board to be formed. There shall be a clear line of reporting in accordance with the structure and organization of the unit. Enforcement of the rule against likely plague and abuse of the prison labor by some of staff members. Effective supervision by National Agriculture Governing Board of all farms. This, when we talk about international, because sometimes I used to say, if I'm now like me, I'm here. I cannot come here and ask you, I need money to go and do farming. No. What I need from you is the skill, equipment, and come and teach me how to use this equipment and give me skill to do the work, period. With money, no. Even if you give them meat to me now, I will say, no, I don't need money. I need you with your skill, bring the equipment, go into the field, I work physically. I like manual work. I don't need to do calculation, buy fuel, bring this and that, no. And money bring conflicts, bring hatred, bring suspicious, and name it, bring so many things. I'm not for that. I need to be proud of my name and friendly. That is my spirit, that is my hobby. All stages will cultivate vegetable supplement inmate ratio to improve nutritive value of their food. Yes, this one is a priority because they need a lot of vegetable. And when I was in Angola prison, this is what they do. All type of vegetable. They have been cooking for me, the prisoners. Good food. They are good cook. Because they are friendly with waters. So this is what they've been doing. So prisoners are good people, and they are friendly. A large-scale production will be in phases. Crop will be vary according to the region and climate, as is shown before. Livestock will be ruminate, cattle, sheep, and goats, and poultry. Crop produce can be treated and utilized by livestock to account for a seasonal storage of grass to feed livestock. Yeah, food reduce also sometimes can be used as fertilizers. So we can also do organic farming through food reduce to make fertilizer. And our land also doesn't need fertilizer now. You can go in 50 years without using a fertilizer. This is what we've been using before. So that's the situation. But, yeah. That was a farm I made, and the food which was produced here. When there was a crisis in Abyei, Arab attacked the town, people were displaced, and there was no nearby food because food comes from Uganda and Kenya. The prison service have to donate 500 baht from this year to rescue people who are displaced by war. From what we have done. Proposed source of initial financial capital, government of the Republic of South Sudan in an annual budget and lump sum amount for revolving fund. Other international government and arbitration organization, foundation and individual philanthropic donors, public-private partnership, ensuring program generating funding. This one is a trial. We are just appealing whoever will put in something for that project to take off. There is no development without peace, and yet there is no peace without development. Of course, it's a win-win situation. And I was talking to somebody in DC, Humanity United, somebody called David. They are the people who are in the field. They write about South Sudan, war, and all these things. And I've been reading a lot of articles. I told him that, yes, I heard you, through your article, always you talk about South Sudan. I think also you can ask those who have ideas to give it to you, so that also to inject these ideas into peace is coming. So when peace comes, then should be followed by food security, so that you stop the war than spending money for displaced people and all these things. And this is the only way that we can do. Partnering with us is a nation building for what's the legacy as pioneer of the world's newest nation. And that's why I'm giving a lot of example. Why are we getting food from the neighboring countries? And for the last 10 years, because we got independent 2011, and up to today, there is a national scheme. So if there is willingness to have even one, then you multiply that. This is where your question comes.
So part of this, I take it, is really generational change.
There you have.
You've got
That's-
a younger generation that has not had any experience.
There you go.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And displaced and
Yeah.
Yeah.
the skills.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've got
And-
6 decades of war on and off for over 6 decades. And you literally have 2 or 3 generations that have never tilled the soil. And then there is the issue of the intervening global assistance into the conflict and development, and some of the negative aspects of that, as Ajak was just saying. You come in and you begin to feed people who are already, suffering and go on. There is that negative side of sort of giving, right? The old fish versus fishing concept, which really played itself out. Plus the displacement issue, as you well know, in South Sudan and then previously in the unified nation of Sudan is significant. Just by example, just since the war that broke out, the civil war conflict that broke out in December of 2014, there's over 1 million people displaced in that conflict alone. So imagine the course of displacement over the course of 6 decades.
And that's why I'm taking it this way, that a prison must take a lead, because we are very close to community. We are easily to teach them, and they are easy to listen to what we are doing. That's why I took that lead.
What are the typical offenses that bring people into the prison? What kinds of mistakes have they made?
Yeah, some cases you will laugh, because there is elopement, taking somebody girl. Our ladies are wells, 100, 200 cows. So people should not play with them. You elope, you are going to be in the prison. You take somebody cow, as if you are broken to somebody bank, you will be arrested. And then, with influx of East African people to the new youngest nation, it brought a big capital crime of robbery. People attack people in the houses. These are also a petty crime, which are coming in from the neighboring countries, which we don't have. Ours used to be cows, and then some isolated accident, somebody caused problem, maybe have killed someone, which is not common. It's not common for us to. And then the cattle raiding. Yeah, they raid themselves. Yeah.
These are not violent offenders for the most part.
Yeah. So these are the cases we have.
Can you talk a little bit more about the pre-colonial concept of punishment? That you said that there was no prison, and culturally you would go to the chief's house. Were you shamed by your community and then allowed back in, or what exactly happened?
Your pardon? Again? Your question?
Colonial. So you said colonialism brought prisons.
Okay, yes.
So what was more typical with the community before prisons exist? Was there shaming of the offender by the community?
Yes, there were some. You see, during all days, this crime were not there. This crime was not there. But it is the development which came up that brought a lot of crime. And during the colony, when they brought the prison, actually they brought the prison so that they punish people to make road. That was the punishment that they do. If people refuse to make road, you have to be arrested. Because there was no bulldozer those days. People, the community that were opening the road. That's why they brought the prison, because people were just, and they don't understand somebody from a different area to come and give you orders. Nobody will accept that. This is where the prison was established, so that they punish people because for the work to do. Yeah, that's the reason why the prison was brought.
And in the sense of free colonialism, that if for any reason you had taken someone else's daughter, or you had done some sort of a crime, then you will be taken to the chief. Especially if you had taken someone's daughter, you will report to the chief, and then you will sit there, and the chief will call
the other family,
and will let the family know that your daughter is not gone anywhere, has been taken and is brought to my home. Now, until the discussion is made, whereby you You know, you're not doing this for play, you're doing this because you really want to do it, and you have what it takes. So you and your family will come and provide the dollar. And then if they're equal to what the family really need, then everything will be done right, and then you will let go. If it is not, and then there's some punishment that the chip will give to you, and your family are not able to come up with that requirement, then you are amazed with the chip as a president. And they will put you to the good news, they will put you to the field.
You farm clearing everything?
And you will do all that.
Can you talk a little bit more about the staff? Like, you have so many officers that are there helping, and I
good
feel like
question.
these prisons are probably a little bit isolated. Do they live in the community as well, or in the prison vicinity with the prisoners? Where do all of the staff come from? What is their...
And where do they live within a
Right.
community context? I'll let you talk about where the staff lives and how, in terms of the context.
Yeah, they used to be a prison quarter, police quarter. That's a long time ago. But if you come now, when we are doing this operation farming, it is just like open camp outside, nearby the village. So the village people will stay in their own area, and then you stay in your own area in the farm side.
Okay.
Yeah, with your inmates and the prison warders. So it is, you stay separate, and then people come and work together. This is how we, and this is what I said, something like an open camp outside. Yeah, this is how they stay.
And then in terms of the numbers, so think of a nation that has been, embroiled in 6 decades of war. Now you have tens of thousands of soldiers that need to return back to society. And you say, okay, we have to do something to keep these folks from being idle. We have to give them jobs, we have to put them in places so that we don't have coups and rebellions. So what you have is a lot of soldiers moved into the prison system. A lot of soldiers moved into the wildlife system. You have a wildlife service that's the largest national police department. You have a prison services that there are huge, literally thousands of folks. And quite frankly, it is not only a sort of a civil remuneration to people who serve to gain the freedom of the nation, but it's a public safety issue, quite frankly, in terms of those numbers. That's why when I mentioned, and I'm glad you brought me back to that, this many numbers of prison staff versus prisoners themselves is because, to give these folks something to do.
Now I have 2 missions. This one I can use it for demobilization, this shot. Then having a huge force, I use this thing for demobilization. Great job through these units so that they become self-reliant, not to be soldiers anymore, not to be violent anymore. That is a second thought. I have a concept about it. It is there. I'm not discussing it now, but I have it. I just give you an idea. But what we need to do first, get food security so that everybody is satisfied. If that what happened, then you can demobilize using this method. Make them technicians so that they become self-reliant in their own future and should not think about having a gun in the future. Life in so many aspects should be created. And somebody somewhere must think of something, and then others will take it forward. That's the idea that I have in the future.
Beyond the, it's an interesting concept. So beyond the prisoners and the guards, you said they were tilling the soil, so they're learning the skills as well. Is there any expansion or plan for expansion to the community? I could imagine people from local villages coming to learn these skills,
Yeah.
even though they're neither guards nor prisoners.
That is indeed the part of the entire strategy. That's what this entire project is
It's
about.
striking, the prisons are all over the country.
Yes. That, Mark,
Incredible
you
infrastructure.
you speak to the very strategy that brings us here for this partnership with Vanderbilt, is that we want a team to help us to build out that very progression from within the prison system out into the community. You see, because when we began advocating on this back in 2009, and Ajak was working on it even back in 2007 and before, our outcry to the government was, okay, we're going to see independence here soon. We knew in 2009 that the 2011 vote was going to go as it was, right? 98% vote toward independence. So we knew that was going to happen. And so what our message was, hey, if you don't do something to maintain that unity that's needed for nation building, people are going to begin to feel disenfranchised, and they're going to go back to where they feel safe, back into the tribal environments, and it's going to generate conflict, and eventually going to find yourself in a state of civil war, and there's going to be a food crisis in this country, because we're already depending 85 to 95%, 85 to 90% of the food coming from either Kenya, Uganda, or other neighboring countries. And so with this concept, our idea is that if we start with the prisons, because they're strategically located around the
Community.
we have at least 10,000 acres of land available in each of those regions to pilot. Teach the prisoners return to the communities with the skill, and while you're teaching the prisons and the prisoners, you're feeding the communities along the way, then you begin to teach the communities within the communities to feed themselves. Because the land itself is owned by the communities. You see, so it's already a communal effort. That's why what we want to
This is
do.
nationwide. I was just going to ask about that.
Yeah.
So the land policies are such that someone can return to the community and farm without having to establish what is their farm or their property rights or...
Well, he can talk about but we're talking about specific lands under the control of either the direct control of the prison system or of the communities that have, allocated it to use for the prison system for these very purposes that we're trying to accomplish through this particular strategy.
Where we farm, of reason, this farm you are seeing here is the land for community. And at the end of the day, what will the community do with the land if you produce food? This is where they are born. So you cannot chase them away. It is them. But we are doing this for your benefit. There is no quarrel over there, and that's why we did that. You have seen the chief over there blessing the land and all these things. So it's a win-win game.
Prison comes in to make use of what the community is laying idle.
Are there women's prisons? Or any
Women
common
prisons?
Mhm.
Yes, they are there.
Do they
No,
do this?
separately though.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
separate prison, yeah,
do
for
they do
women.
this as well?
They do,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. Like,
We
if
did
there's-
not show you the slide for women digging.
Ajak he gives me a hard time about this, okay? He has about
Now, why this-
50,000 photos, literally.
Why-
And for me to find just the right ones, But yes, you'll see. among
Now,
the folks
you
that
remind me, and I was telling them,
alive.
put this for the female prison, you put what they are doing so that others see. It is him, not me, it is there.
Okay. Your fault. So would they be an easier, would it be like their the home making stuff, the handcrafts and whatnot?
They do a lot.
They're doing this, but they're already-
They do.
Okay.
Yeah. They have tailoring.
But, I was just gonna say, but traditionally, in the area and in those countries, right, it's the women who usually do the farming. Like in Kenya and Uganda, it's the women who have a shamba and who are out there growing the crops. So I'm kind of interested in the fact that you've got the men doing this. Are they gonna accept this when they're used to being with their cattle, taking care of their cattle? Are they gonna go back to the village and farm?
They do. They do. Because it's a culture, you can come and work and you go back and do your things.
Yeah.
Even in this team of yours, which you have seen, the women are there. In this bulk of force you are seeing, they are there. Maybe they are short, that's why I didn't see them.
Yeah, but it's within the culture. Everybody's out in the field. Now, for instance, I work in Cameroon also. You know, I go to Cameroon and, you know, you drive through, and the men are sitting down with their Cokes and their sodas.
Exactly.
And the women are just humping it. I mean, they're really, really
And
hard. And it's,
they are really hardworking.
yeah, hard
The
work.
women.
Yeah.
Very hard work.
Yeah.
Yes.
I work with them. I can even, every day I can have 50 or 100, and then we work together.
And good with business.
Yeah,
They're
they do.
good with
Yeah,
business.
they're hardworking.
Like
Well, you know,
selling-
as
selling
they say, you
Yeah.
know, you, for every dollar you invest in a woman, you get a, 7 times the return. It's just a fact across, particularly in the developing world, right? You know, so as my friend Nick wrote in the book Half the Sky, you know, it's true. I've seen it in real life in terms of how women rock the world. I mean, that's the way it is. It really, you see that in its truth in the developing world. It's just, it's no expression. It is what it is.
I just have one last question. As your vision expands, how do you ensure a continuing supply of prisoners?
Well, the idea is to come away from the walls and to come into the community.
The whole
Yeah.
country becomes prison.
Well, like you said, we're all prisoners, right?
Yeah, in fact, it's not, yeah, you are right. The question is, now, my vision is to let people, to teach people ethic of working, so that people become self-reliant. And the easy way for me is through the prisons. Because the leadership on that side, they are not seeing this. I'm seeing it, maybe they are engaged on another thing. But me down here, if we do it down here, then it will be quicker to disseminate quickly to the people, and people multiply from there. And that's the idea I have.
The prison is the microcosm of something that we're hoping to become, the macro issue of the nation, right? It's to bring back that lost generations of skills. And it is, in a way, it's a pilot thing for the nation to remobilize around this tremendous asset. South Sudan has the capacity, land-wise and capacity-wise, to feed all of sub-Saharan Africa, but it's not being done.
I think this is fantastic idea. My dad actually did his dissertation work in the Texas prison system with rehabilitating prisoners. I'm curious about the buy-in you have from the government. You said that the communities seem to be supporting this, but the larger national government, does it support this, and is it helping to fund this?
The national government have the will, maybe in heart, but not practically. Everybody, even the president, start talking about food security, food security, food security. Practically on the ground.
Are they giving resources?
Well, so put it this way, the resources are lacking, the allocations, that's to Ajak's point. Hey, Mr. Minister, that big, Escalade, whatever vehicle there, that's 7 tractors, okay? And you've got 3 of them in your compound. Okay, let's think about it. This is an issue. But if, Ajak and I went to the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Interior, to the President and say, hey, we need your signature to support this particular effort because we're going to make it happen. Where do I sign? We can get that if we can assure them that we can make it happen. But what we have to be careful to do, that's why Ajak is very careful about money. He doesn't want to touch money. We don't want to see money flow in. We want to see the money based where the money is producing results in country. Right? And so that's important. So there's kind of a strange political will issue there. Yeah, we'll do it if you do it, which we got to change that too, right? We know that doesn't work. That's why when I sent Ajak down to Angola Penitentiary in Louisiana, he said, Nick, during that journey, if I had seen nothing else but what I saw at Angola State Penitentiary, I'd have been satisfied. Everything you saw there, you see up there, they're doing beautifully.
Yeah, so I had a question about the money. So in terms of food distribution, like how is the food just given away, or like if people from community buy the food, and then if the community is buying the food, then who gets the profits off of that? And then when it, in terms of the plan to spread out to the community, like who's gonna start profiting off of?
Yeah.
The produce is not that big as anybody expects. It's very little, just for survival. Yeah, it's not that big that can be distributed, or if there's surplus going to market, they just consume fairly because there's the beginning. And that's why I'm here for the bigger vision and bigger production, whereby you can see which one goes to community, which one is surplus, which one is going for export, so that you bring back money for agriculture to revolve. So
Right
that
now,
one is not
producing for consumption and distribution within the community. It's not a perfect system, but there's no profit, there's no sale, no market around it. It's about producing and distributing. We would like to get to the place, I mean, this is a huge evolution at this point, but we have to build that into the strategy that we are wanting to plan out, because we'd like for it to be a self-sustaining thing that's based upon generation of income, and someday, because like I said, based upon the land capacity, South Sudan really could feed a significant measure of sub-Saharan Africa. But we need to show, we need to change capacity, we need to change the mindset about the use of land and about farming, so that direct foreign investment eventually comes in, knowing that there's the skill base, that there's a knowledge, there's a commitment around this issue, and the nation itself at the governmental level and others changes and is prepared. But we are literally at a place of forcing that change of mind. I tell people all the time here in these great institutions of learning, and as I lecture, I say, learning is a change in the way that you think about something, or in the way that you behave, or both, right? So if you walk away from here and you change the way you think about South Sudan and about agriculture issues and the ways that we talk, then you've learned something. Or if you do something differently, or both, right? And that's a reflection of learning. And so that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to encourage learning that leads to a change in the way that people think about this issue and the way they behave about this issue. We're trying to engender learning.
Yes, as Nick put it, agriculture is the means of way of achieving development, because it brings peace within the community. If people are satisfied with food, no quarrel, and it will speed up the development. Yes, agriculture is not an easy task. It's just like nursing a baby, because it needs so many things. It needs attention. You need to be there 24/7. Weeding, seeing the crop. It's amazing if you're in the farm and then you see crops are growing and trees and all this, you feel happy. So it's something very wonderful. I like it. So this is what I can say. More questions?
Anybody else? Questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And